Hello and welcome to the Start to Finish Podcasting Podcast with Andre Lewis. Today, I'm going to go over some of the equipment that I use when I'm recording my podcast. So this video is just to give you a small introduction of the equipment that I use when I'm recording my podcast. Now, I won't get too far into the equipment. I'm just basically going to give you a kind of broad introduction of what I use. Won't be spec details, anything like that, but I just want to give you an idea of the equipment that I use. So without further ado, let's get started. First thing we're going to talk about, the Shure SM7B. Now I use this microphone. I'm using it right now, as you can see, but I use the Shure SM7B. I use two microphones. This is one of them. So the Shure SM7B, I kind of like this mic because it cancels out noise very well. And I love the rich audio that I get out of it through my voice. So this works pretty good for me. And this is why I use the Shure SM7B. Okay. Now the second mic that I use is the RE320. Electro Voice RE320. This microphone is also great. This is a great microphone. It also cancels out noise very well. This mic tends to be a little bit hotter than this one, the SM7B. The SM7B requires a lot of gain, so you got to have something that can push this mic to get a good signal. And the same for this one, but not as much. This is not as bad as the Shure SM7B. But both of these mics are great. This Shure SM7B, I love it. It's just a sexy mic. It's heavy. I love heavy equipment. So this is what I like to use. I like to use the Shure, the RE320 also sometime. Today for this video, I'm just using the Shure SM7B, but I do use this, and you can see some of the other videos in which I've used this microphone, so it's pretty good. My next piece of equipment is the Cloud Lifter. Now, this Cloud Lifter, you can take a guess. Which microphone do I use this Cloud Lifter with? And it is the Shure SM7B. Now, I know plenty of people who use the Shure, who use the Cloud Lifter for the RE320. I use this for the Shure SM7B, and I really like it. It gives me a real clean audio. It really does. It gives me a clean recording. And using this, well, let me tell you this first. Many people who use the Shure SM7B, they don't use a Cloud Lifter. Some don't use a Cloud Lifter. And for those who don't use the Cloud Lifter, they boost their gain up to using a DBX 286, which is what I'm going to introduce to. They push it up to about 59 decibels. That's without a Cloud Lifter, and they get a good signal, a good clean audio signal. When I use this 286 with the Shure SM7B, I used it without a Cloud Lifter, and I used it with a Cloud Lifter. Without the Cloud Lifter, it only took 52 decibels of gain for me to get a clean signal. So you don't really need this for the Shure SM7B if you have a DBX 286S. But I do use a Cloud Lifter. Using the Cloud Lifter with the Shure SM7B, my gain only requires about 20 decibels of gain. So this is why I use the Cloud Lifter with, excuse me, it's hot in here. This is why I use the Cloud Lifter with the Shure SM7B, because it only requires about 22 decibels of gain. So you can use this with the RE320. It'll definitely sound great. And with the RE320, if you use this with the RE320, then, because I know the RE320, when I use that with the 286 by itself, it only required about 45 decibels of gain. If I use this with the RE320 and with this, the DBX 286S, then it probably would only require about maybe 15, 16 decibels of gain. I know it's a lot less than what the Shure SM7B requires. So this cloud lifter will do you some great justice, and it's a good investment. It runs for about 149. So good investment. Okay. Now let's see. I told you I was going to introduce you to this. This is the DBX 286S, and this is a microphone preamp. This microphone preamp does very well. It really does a good job, and it's just not a preamp. It does a lot more. You have this section here. This is your mic preamp right here, where you set the gain and the volume. Here you have your compressor. Here you have a de-esser, and that de-esser works great. It depends, where you find your frequencies for your S's. That's where you would set it to, right here. And then you would set the density, which is pretty much, it'll reduce those frequencies once you find what frequencies that you're actually trying to get rid of. It has an enhancer, which gives you the radio voice, or the low frequency enhancer gives you a lot more bass in your voice without destroying the audio. And the same for the high frequency, it gives you a little bit more clarity. So it gives you a lot more clarity, and it makes it sound more crisp, clean. And that depends on your settings. It depends on your voice. You just can't go by my settings like what I have here. You just can't go by those settings. It depends on your voice. And it also has an expander gate, which is great. This expander gate, if you don't know what it is, expander gate pretty much reduces the signals. You set the signals. You set the point in where you want anything under a certain decibel to be reduced. And when I say reduced, I mean by a ratio, not so much by just flat out cut, because that's a noise gate. Okay, the expander gate pretty much reduces any audio lower than the threshold that you set. So it does a very good job. I mean, a really good job. It does a real good job. And I love this thing. I love it so much that I bought two of them, because my wife and I do a podcast also. And she has one and I have one. I was going to split it and have two splitters going in here, but that would make the DBX work too hard. So I wound up purchasing another one, and I'm not cheap either. But I wound up purchasing another one for my wife, because we do a podcast. So the DBX 286 will do you some justice. This here I don't use that much. This is the DBX 266S XS compressor. Now I usually had this running from the DBX 286, which is kind of redundant, but I use this. I'm hot. Excuse me. I keep wiping like this. I apologize. I used this at first for like a limiter. So this was connected to the DBX 286. It would go through the chain, come back, and come through. But I don't need this anymore. I really don't need it. So I don't use it that much no more. But sometimes I'll use it for maybe a different setup, so it works for me. So I keep this around. I'm not selling it. I'll just keep it around because I may need it one day. It's just a compressor, and it does pretty much the same thing. It has some of the same functions as the DBX 286 here. Okay. So let me just put this here. Pretty much the same functions right here. It has the expander gate. It has a compressor. It has the output signal, and that's what I meant to. I didn't go over that. It has an output signal for the 286 also. That output signal is right here, and I can set that for whatever I want. And the 286, like I said, it's just a compressor, but it does, it's a 2-channel compressor, so you can set it for whatever whatever you want your settings to be. It does a good job with compression too. So this is something that I used to use. I don't use it that often, but I do keep it for future uses. I might need it later in the future. And you know what I forgot to introduce? I do use this also. The Rode PSA 1 boom arm. studio arm, whatever you want to call it. This is pretty good. You know why I like this? I like this because it gives you a desk mount, and I can't show it to you because I'm using it right now. But it gives you a desk mount and another piece which allows you to screw it in the desk, and then you can stick the mic right into the desk mount. So it has two mounts: the big one, that bulky one that everybody uses, and you turn it, and then you stick your arm inside of it, and you can move it around, swivel it, whatever you want to do. But then they have one that's it's like a flat, and I'll show you. It's flat like this, and then it has the a piece going down like this, and you just screw it in the hole, put it in the hole. I would drill a hole in the desk if it's a permanent thing. Drop it in there, and it leaves the flat surface on the desk, and you just screw it from the bottom, and then that's it. You'll have a hole in there for your arm. So I like this. It gives you two options, and it's very clean and neat. So I like that also. It's hot in here. Woo! Very hot in here. And I also use this baby. Now, let me tell you about this. This is the Scarlett Focusrite 18i8. You do not need this. If you are a podcaster and you do your podcast solo, then you can get the Focusrite, the Solo. If you have a guest, you can get the I believe it's the 2i4. And that's if you're by yourself and or not by yourself, if you have a co-host. Now, if you have just yourself and you bring in interviews that are in person, like in-person interviews, then you can go with the 2i4, which gives you two outputs. And, you can connect the mic to each one of them, interview your guests. If you have yourself and a co-host and you bring in guests, I would suggest getting the 18i8 because the 18i8 has 4 input channels, mic input channels, whereas the 2i4, it doesn't. I believe it only has, I hope I'm right about this because I didn't even, I think it's the 2i4 that only has, if I'm wrong, you can correct me in the comments below. The 2i4 only has 2 inputs. So if you're a podcaster and you have a co-host and you have a guest, you're going to need 3 inputs. So I would go with getting this one. This one runs for about, I believe it's $349. So it's kind of expensive. So, and not everybody can just go out and get this. So if you can't afford this, then I highly recommend, and I don't have it with me because I sold it, but I was using that, the Behringer UMC or UMC Euphoria 404. I don't know if I'm saying it in that correct order, but it's the Behringer Euphoria 404 HD. That's a 4 input interface, just as this one has a lot of features, and it's only $99. So if you can't afford this, get that Behringer 404 Euphoria 404 HD. I'm messing this whole name up for that interface, but trust me, I'll put a link in the description. But that interface is 4 inputs. It does a damn good job. It has Midas preamps, which are pretty good. So I would go with that if you can't afford this. And I only got this because I got it at a very cheap rate. So I didn't pay $349 or $350 or whatever it costs. But this here is pretty good. I would go with this if you can. If not, the Behringer will do you just fine. Now, what I'm about to introduce to you next is something nobody recommends. That they don't recommend it, and I probably won't recommend it to you either. I'm not going to recommend these headphones because they're not for podcasting. So what I have here is the wireless Beats. These wireless Beats are great. I mean, for music, great. They connect wirelessly to a Mac or any other Bluetooth device. But the reason why I don't recommend these, I use them because I like them. But the reason why I won't recommend these for podcasting is there's a extremely high boost in the low end on these microphones in these headphones. So, and it's designed like that. It's designed to give you more of a low end because it's for music. So for podcasting, your voice may sound deep if you listen to it with these, but if you listen to it on a regular car stereo or, regular headphones, it's your voice is not going to sound that deep. This thing boosts frequencies and, it boosts frequencies and the low frequency. So I wouldn't recommend these for podcasting because what happens is when you go to post production and you're saying, "Hey, look, this frequency is way too low." Okay, I mean this frequency is way too high, and you say your voice is just too deep. So you adjust your audio to make it sound pretty, I guess, normal. You would lower the frequency, and then you listen on here, and they say, "Okay, the frequency is low now." But when you go play it on a car stereo, you're not going to hear that. The car stereos don't um, boost the low ends. So it's going to sound real clear. And you're not going to like that. It's going to be way too clear. You're not going to have enough low in it because you based your post production and your changes based on these, which is a low frequency. It just sounds, the frequency is a real low frequency. Music is great for podcasting. I wouldn't recommend these for your playback or your post, or for your playback to listen to your audio when you're doing post production. So I don't have a recommendation for headphones, but I can probably do another video on the top 5 headphones. So maybe I'll do that. But in terms of this, I wouldn't use it. So, and one more thing I use for my podcasting, I do use a Mac. I had a MacBook Pro. I still have it. Now that's what did a lot of my videos on. Um, but now I have a 21-inch iMac, and it works pretty good. The video is great. It renders video very, very quickly, and the quality is great. I forgot the pixels, but it's very high, and I think if you have one, you'd benefit from it. The video is very clear. Like I said, it renders videos very fast, and the graphics on here is pretty good also if you like games or whatever, you play video games. But I use the iMac, and that is one of the other pieces of equipment that I use. And one last thing that I use is in terms of my camera, I use the Logitech 930E. That camera seems to do well for me. I had an option to get the Logitech. I forgot, is it 920? I don't know what it is. It's the one before the 930E. And I tried both of them, and they both were great, but I like the 930E. It gets a little bit more of a wider expansion of video, and also it's a little bit more clear too. I did a comparison, not online, not in the video, but on my own. I did a comparison, and the 930E came out to be the better one for me. You can test it yourself and see which one works best for you, but the 930E worked well for me. So that's the equipment that I use. If you have any questions, I will gladly answer them. Just leave a comment below it with your question. Don't forget to hit the thumbs up and like the video. And if you can subscribe, hey, subscribe. I try to make as many videos as I can. I try to give you a good idea of some of the equipment that I use. And, you can make an informed decision about that. I will have, also, let me tell you this because I have to. I will have some Amazon affiliate links in there, so I will get a commission if you decide to click on the links and make a purchase. So just wanted to let you know and be transparent. There is affiliate links that I will leave inside the comment. So the video below, where I move it, where it goes. Anyway, but that's it. I mean, I do have lights for my videos. I don't use them. What I'm using right now is just a regular lamp. It has 5 bulbs, so turn them all on and there's a light. I like to do my videos during the day. I don't really particularly like them at night, but It's not dark out there. I mean, it's dark out there. I lost my train of thought. I'm sorry. I was looking at something. I'm sorry. I just got thrown off. But I usually do my videos in the day. I like the light. So that's it. I mean, if you have any questions, you can contact me at starttofinishpodcasting@gmail.com. That's starttofinishpodcasting@gmail.com. You can visit the website at www.starttofinishpodcasting.com. Make sure you like this video. Give me a thumbs up. Subscribe, please, man. I would love to hear some of your questions. I would love to answer some of your questions. And like I always say, if I don't have the answer, I'll find it. So that'll be it for this video. I hope you got some good information from the equipment that I use. And if you have any more questions, you know where to reach me. Thank you for listening. Make sure you subscribe. I'm out of here. Thanks.